So it's been a couple of weeks and the Mavic 4 Pro has finally reached our shores. Not you, America. I'm so sorry about that. I really hope you get your hands on the Mavic 4 Pro soon and that these silly tariffs and everything kind of change in the future for you. But at the moment, it's been out for a couple of weeks. I've been looking at kind of some amazing footage from it, some great reels made by people. I've had some feedback and I've seen the feedback from people that have been using it for a couple of weeks. Now, a lot of it is from the hype. So when someone gets given a Mavic 4 Pro to review a couple of weeks before, they're going to kind of shine about it. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be the best thing ever because they've been given one. I've watched reviews from people that weren't given one but bought one, and they're giving a more honest review. So I've seen a couple of downsides, which I'm going to talk about. But for me, the main reason that I'm not going to be buying it straight away, I never really tend to jump on the bandwagon. I actually thought I was going to with the Mavic 4 Pro. There's been so much hype. I've been waiting for it for 2 years and I thought I was going to buy it straight away, but I didn't. I held back and I'm kind of glad I did. But one of the main reasons is after the demise of my Inspire drone, I actually bought a Air 2S, which I've been hobbling about with and getting by with. I've shot a documentary, a rock climbing documentary with it. I've shot a film for, or a review for a YouTuber. We've been on board a brand new Sunseeker yacht and I was using the Air 2S for that. And they actually insisted that I only shot in 1080p. So I was on board that boat with the Air 2S shooting in 1080p from inside the boat, using full manual, no tracking or anything like that, and the results were spectacular. They loved it, all got used fine. So that drone with the 5.1K sensor, 1-inch sensor, is still a great drone if you've got one. So kudos to the DJI for producing that. They reduced the 5.1K when the Air 3 and Air 3S came out. That's insane, but we won't go there. Now, what happened with me just before Christmas, about November, I sold the Air 2S in anticipation of the Mavic 4 Pro, but then I needed a drone for a couple of jobs. So I went onto eBay to look to see if they had a Mavic 3 Pro Cine Premium second hand, but I couldn't find one anywhere. I was just about to log off from eBay when a new one appeared. It just said, this has just been listed. It was a brand new Mavic 3 Pro Cine Premium selling for £3,000 all year offer. Now at the time, this whole bundle was going to be around 4,800 if I bought it from DJI. So I looked into it and it came with a rucksack, a very nice hard case, and also 2 years unactivated warranty, and also 2 years unactivated care refresh. So all in all, that's about £4,800 worth of drone. So I immediately jumped on it and I made an offer of 2,900 because the drone was being sold in Preston, right up north. So I said, look, if you give it me for 2,900, I'll use the 100 for fuel. I'll come and collect it tomorrow. She accepted. I went up to Preston, saw the box, opened it all up. Everything was brand spanking new, still had all the stickers all over it. The batteries hadn't been taken out of the packs or anything like that. Perfect. So I bought it, brought it home. Everything worked as perfect. And here it is, my beautiful Mavic 3 Pro Cine. I got an absolute bargain. I got a steal. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't been upgrading, because I want to make the most of this and the care refresh and everything. And for me, it's a beautiful drone. So I'm really happy with how this flies. Obviously, it's a massive upgrade from the Air 2S and things like that. So again, I actually thought after using this for a couple of months up until about March, I thought, okay, the Mavic 4 Pro, this hype is really starting to build now. I'm probably going to try and sell this. And I was just on the cusp of putting it on eBay, did all the photos and everything to put on eBay. I thought something held me back and I said, no, I'm just going to wait for the Mavic 4 Pro, see what it's like, and then I'll make my decision that way and I'll maybe part exchange or sell it or do whatever. But when it came out, there's some, I'm going to go through here some of the sort of downsides that I think with the Mavic 4 Pro. Then I'm going to talk about just very quickly the upsides, and then I'm going to say who I think it's for and whether I'm going to be buying one or not. But I'm going to keep it fairly quick, but because there's quite a few things to go through here. But if you haven't bought one yet, you might find this interesting. If you have got one, you've got one and you're on the road, so you're going to love it regardless. So before I go any further, I just want to say that the Mavic 4 Pro, the creator kit, looks amazing. That's the one I would go for without any doubt. So anyone that's looking to buy one, I would leave the other two and not go for those, but go for the premium combo if you could, the creator combo. I'll go through those now. So first of all, we're going to go through the Mavic 4 Pro downsides. First one is they are not including ND filters. That's crazy, especially if you're buying that creator combo. You need ND filters. Now, regardless of whether it's the electronic one or not, everyone was expecting that, and that's going to be amazing when it finally comes out. But they didn't even include that. They didn't even include the original ones. No filters whatsoever. So everyone's having to use fast shutter speeds to get any kind of footage or shoot at night or low light, that kind of thing. So that for me was a bit of a downside. Also, I can't understand why they haven't included ProRes. Now, some people have said they've had a bit of a barney with Apple and they haven't got the license, or I think perhaps they're trying to cut back on costs, what with all the tariffs and everything. But the fact there's no ProRes is insane, because lots of producers and kind of video companies, they want ProRes because of it just mixes in with their other cameras that well. So yeah, for me that was weird. Now I'm hoping they're going to bring one out later in the year that will have ProRes, but we'll have to wait and see. But the other thing is, with the two smaller drones, with the non kind of premium drone, the maximum bit rate for H.264 is 90 megabits per second. What is that all about? That's one of the lowest megabits per second that I've seen on any DJI drone for many, many years. And the H.265 is only 180 megabits per second. Now, even the Mavic 3 Pro, that does, on the main camera, 200 megabits per second, and the two other cameras are 160 megabits per second. So for me, it's a bit of a backwards jump for DJI with this. But then you get, with the Creator Edition, you get the All Intra, which is 1200 megabits per second. Now that's already below what the ProRes does on this. I think this goes from something like 821 at the lowest up to over 3200 megabits per second. So that's why I'm keeping this. So just to quickly say, if I was going to get the Mavic 4 Pro Creator Edition at some point, I would 100% keep this as well. Don't know why people are kind of going off this now, because it's still a brilliant drone. It's what you do with it, it's your creativity that makes this kind of shine. So with that ProRes, I'll be keeping this unless they bring out a ProRes version of the Mavic 4 at some point, because that's what some of my clients will want. So that's going to stay with me pretty much no matter what. So basically then we go on to the 2.5 tele lens on the Mavic 4 Pro, the mid-range tele zoom, is no different to the Mavic 3 Pro. And then the 6x lens camera is actually a bit better. So it's got a slightly better sensor, but only very slightly. If I show you the size of a Mavic, of a micro four thirds sensor, this will kind of put things into perspective. This is a micro SD card. Don't know if you can see that, but I'll put a bigger one on screen. But you can just see in my fingers how small that is. Let's see if you can get it up there. That's about the size of a micro four thirds sensor. So if you think a 1/1.3 or 1/1.5 is probably about 30% smaller than that. So the difference between 1/1.5 and 1.3 isn't massive, but what they've done with the software is actually made it work a bit better, so you actually get some nicer, cleaner images. But I quickly want to show you, this clip you're seeing now is from the Mavic 3 Pro Cine, shot in ProRes, and then a little bit of work done in post to actually get a super sharp image from that 7x zoom camera that everyone's complaining about. So I can take that, any footage from that, put it into my software, quick as you like, I can get some really high quality footage from that. So for me, the only times I'm going to use that 7x zoom on here, I'm able to actually create really nice, good looking images from it. So for me, that 6x, it's great. If you're going to buy that drone, I think it's incredible quality. So kudos there. They've improved that one after all these years. Okay, so that's pretty good, but I can get around that. Now going on to point 3, for me, you've created or DJI have created a 6K camera, a 6K sensor, and I don't understand. And I was really hoping they were going to make it open gate. Now, if you don't know what open gate means, it's basically when you take the whole 4/3 sensor and you use all of that for your 6K footage. So give you an example with the micro 4/3 GH7. Again, I got this camera from Panasonic, straight brand new, but it was an open box, and I got it for £1,400. Never been used, it's just an open box. Got it for £1,400, and their micro 4/3 does RAW, it does ProRes, and it also does open gate. So what that means is you use the whole of that sensor, and you can then crop in post, and you've still got 4K upright. So you just shoot the same scene. So for me, the downside of twisting the lens and shooting that way means that you've got to do kind of almost 2 shots. If your client says, I want both landscape and portrait, both in 4K, then you've got to do 1 shot flying with the standard kind of landscape look. Then you've got to do the same again with the lens turned and do it that way. Now you're possibly going to lose some continuity there. If it clouds over on the second shot, if you get different kind of lighting or something happens, then you're going to lose that. For me, it would have been a lot easier to have a micro 4/3 sensor, 6K with open gate. I'd just do 1 shot, cut both clips out of the same clip for in post-production, so that I can then give that to the client. It just means it just saves a lot of hassle, but I do like that twisty lens and it does work quite well. But again, there's some limitations which we'll come to in a second. So really, I would have hoped that it would have been micro four thirds open gate. Okay, the next point is vertical mode only has a 10-degree pitch, I've learnt. So if you're flying along and you need to point it down or up, you're kind of limited that way, which again, it would have been better if it was open gate, because you can use that full amazing tilt and of the gimbal to actually get some really good footage vertically. Okay, also the other thing is it's a slightly less wide angle lens. It's 28mm as opposed to 24. It's not a massive difference, but it's enough to kind of put me off a little bit. I love the 24mm, so for me that was another issue. The image quality for both tele lenses is better due to image processing rather than being a better lens or camera. So they've done some good things in the gubbins inside the drone, which improves that footage. And again, it's something I can do in post-production in software. And I'll leave a link up here to the software I use, because it's amazing. And for that one I've just shown you with the 7x zoom lens, this is the software I used. So for me, for the times I use those lenses, for this one I use the 3x zoom way more than the 7x zoom. I think it's fantastic. It looks great on this drone still. The 7x on here does need a little bit of work, but you can get it looking fantastic. So for me, it wasn't a massive issue. It wasn't anything to encourage me to get the Mavic 4 Pro. Okay, so that's my impressions from what I've seen so far, but I've also read some early feedback from buyers. Now, first of all, this one says his controller disconnected a few times around 400 yards out, and unless you face the drone absolutely head on with the controller. So that kind of bothered me a little bit. I have to sort of wait to see more news on that kind of thing. Also, someone had a large scratch on this amazing controller, but all they did was drag one of the feet over the glass, and it's left quite a big scratch on the lens, on the cover. So for me, that's a bit of an issue. I think there should be some sort of flap that you can put down when you're not using it, so it folds down beautifully, but you're leaving that glass really exposed. So that's also an issue. I thought they would have used the super tough glass like you get on mobile phones, wherever my phone is. I haven't had a protector on this for since I bought it. There's not a single scratch on it. Obviously it gets marked, but I put it in my pocket, put it in my bag. This glass is so tough, it doesn't need a protector on it. So I don't know why they haven't used that kind of really high tempered glass for that. So that could be a potential issue. They also said the drone drifts sometimes and feels heavy to fly. Now I don't know if that means they're an inexperienced pilot, and maybe they're shooting in wind or something, I don't know, or maybe they haven't waited for the satellites to kick in, I don't know. But having it drift, that could be a kind of problem if you're doing some static shots. Again, with this, I've done 8-second exposures over milky water, and it's held perfectly, you know, even in very slight winds. So if that's an issue, that could be potentially quite bad. And lastly, they've had some camera settings that have reset sometimes. So when they've gone back into the controls, it's actually reset some of those cameras. So some of these I have to take with a pinch of salt. I don't know if it's user error, but that's something I'm keeping an eye on before I even think about buying one. So those are the ones I've sort of seen early feedback from buyers. But again, based on the 10-degree pitch when you're vertical, again, you can still, even though you haven't got open gate, you can still shoot in 6K and then crop. Even though you'll get slightly less than 4K, it's still good enough for mobile phones, because to be honest, even 1080 on here looks good when shot in vertical. Okay, so that's it for those. I'm now going to talk about the upsides. So starting with the main camera, it's now got, even though it's 28mm, which is the downside for me, you've got a maximum f2 aperture. So that means you're going to get much better low light, well, not much better, but you're going to get slightly better low light filming. The 2.5 times tele camera now shoots 4K 120. That's one of my gripes about this one. It only goes up to 60p. So having that would be fantastic. But again, the software I've told you about before allows me to slow 60p down to 120 in post using amazing artificial intelligence. So I can still work my way around that, but obviously shooting it in 4K 120 is way better. Then you've got the 6K 60 is a nice bump, but again, why no open gate? But shooting 6K is fantastic, because not just you're going to be able to get really nice clear footage, but if you're outputting in 4K, you can zoom in post-production. If you're outputting in 1080, which you sometimes have to do for clients, you've got so much leeway to zoom in post-production and get a bit more creative with your shots. The spinny camera, that's fantastic. So the way it kind of spins on the Mavic 4 Pro, I think is good, but it could be one of those effects that gets overused, maybe used incorrectly. I've seen some footage from a guy in Malaysia that he only used it slightly, so he was only tilting it slightly like a bit of an FPV. He wasn't spinning it around and round and round. It was just going past buildings and doing these kind of maneuvers. For me, that's perfect. It's used really well and minimalistic, so you don't use it in every single shot, but it looks fantastic. So for me, I think that spinny camera is good. Now, if you look at this clip now, I actually made this using some really cool software that I'll put a link to above. And basically what I did was I filmed in 5K 5.1K 50 FPS, and then I upsized that to 10K, and then I took it into post-production and I did the spinning myself and then output at 4K, and it looks fantastic. So I can get that effect in post. I can do anything from very slight kind of movements right through to a full spin. So it takes a bit of work, but it means I can still do it with this at 5.1K, upsize it to 10K, then do the spinny stuff, then downsize it to 4K and output it that way. So obviously it's a lot more work. It's better if you've got it done within the drone itself. But for me, while I wait for the Cine version, it's basically a workaround that I can do. So yeah, I'm okay. But I still think it's a great addition to a camera. So I'm not putting it down, and it's one of the reasons I probably would buy this if they brought a Cine version out with ProRes. The gimbal now points up 70 degrees upwards. Fantastic. So that is brilliant. If you're going up buildings, your shots can be way better now, much more creative. And if you're doing kind of like bridge reviews or looking at the structure of bridges from underneath, that's going to be fantastic. It's a massive plus point for your business if you're doing kind of inspections of bridges or piers or things like that. So that's a massive thumbs up. Battery life is better. Again, you're going to get about 10 minutes extra flying time over the Mavic 3 Pro, which is brilliant. It's an extra 10 minutes, but I can just buy another battery and fly it that way. So I've got a workaround, but obviously if you want to do really long kind of time lapses or hyperlapses, that's a massive boost. So again, kudos, but I think you're going to get maybe around 40 to 45 minutes as opposed to the 51 that they state. But even so, 40 to 45 minutes is crazy. Then we've got the dynamic range is better. Perfect. I've seen some shots shooting into sun with the Mavic 4 Pro. Looks absolutely amazing. So again, that's a big reason to buy this drone. It's not so bad on this when I'm shooting in ProRes at the high bit rates. I've got a bit more to work with, but I still don't think it matches the kind of dynamic range with the Mavic 4 Pro. So that's brilliant. The controller is way better. That controller, I actually did a video years ago or a couple of years ago with the controller I was using. I was using the old standard DJI controller, but I was using a Triple Tech 8-inch Pro on there, and it was fantastic. I mean, my hands were underneath the screen. The screen was huge, 1200 nits, looked fantastic. And I said, why don't DJI make something like this? And they have, and it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely superb, apart from the glass maybe scratching. But other than that, it's just genius. You don't have to undo the toggles, the kind of controls. It all folds down nicely. It turns on when you open it up. Perfect. I think that's massive. And that's another huge reason to actually go for the creator combo rather than the other ones with the standard setup. Then you've got 04 Plus, much better range. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to be flying 20, 30 miles out, but it means you've got a stronger coverage if you're going to be flying behind trees or buildings or things like that, where you can kind of lose signal. When I was doing with the Air 2S, the shot of the climber, I was actually over the cliff, down and along. A couple of times I got the return to home signal because I was way out of reach, whereas the Mavic 4 Pro would have handled that really easy with that much more powerful kind of sync. Then you've got active track, which is much better, especially with the tele lens, the 2.5 times tele lens. It tracks superbly well. But again, when I was filming the Sunseeker yacht, I wasn't using any tracking because I wanted to kind of position the shot myself rather than have it in dead center. I wanted to have a bit of leeway, and I was really kind of struggling because I had only 1080p. I wasn't shooting 4K that I could crop into 1080 later. They insisted I shot 1080, so I had to do it all manually, and it worked out perfectly anyway. So training really helps. So active track's good. So basically that's it on the upsides for me. Overall, it's definitely an upgrade from the Mavic 3 Pro, apart from the ProRes. So yeah, I'm in two minds about that. I'm still very close to getting the creator combo, but I will keep this if I do. Just to finish off, I hope they do announce a ProRes version later this year, and if so, I'm 100% in, absolutely, and I probably will sell this unless I just keep it as a backup drone. So to finish off, who is this for? If you own one of these and you can get by using the kind of, if you've got a Mavic 3 Pro Cine, and you can get by with the things I kind of mentioned with the spinny thing and all the other bits and pieces. If the 4 Pro doesn't really have anything that would make your life better or your job easier, then I would maybe stick with the Cine Pro Senior, the ProRes Cine Premium for now, and maybe kind of hold fire a little bit. If you absolutely need what the Mavic 4 Pro's got, then 100% go for it. But if you own something like in fact, before I say that, I've looked on eBay, just so you know, and you can get a brand new DJI Mavic 3 Pro Cine Premium combo for around £2,750. It was like 4,300 not so long ago. So if you're looking at something like the Mavic 4 Pro, that's coming in at £3,200, whereas this is £500 cheaper. So you have to really weigh up what you kind of need and what you want as to whether the ProRes is going to suit you better for £500 less, or if you want all the gubbins and the upgrades that the Mavic 4 Pro gives. So have a look at eBay and see what you think. If you own any other drones such as the Mavic 3 Pro non-Cine, the A3, the Air 3, but the Air 3S I think is still a really good kind of drone. Maybe you wouldn't want to upgrade from that. If you own the Air 2S, anything like that, then I think it's a definite upgrade, but definitely go for the Creator combo because of the controller and the all-intra 1200 megabits per second. I think you would regret it if you went for the other ones and it didn't kind of do what you needed, or if you suddenly had someone that wanted 1200 megabits. So have a real think about that. I don't think the lesser ones are selling that well at the moment. So yeah, but for me there was quite a few kind of things wrong with the Mavic 4 Pro that didn't entice me enough to get rid of this and buy that one, even the Creator one. So it's real horses for courses as to whether you go for that. If you haven't bought it already, if you haven't snapped in and bought it straight away, if you're still thinking about it, hopefully this video would have helped a little bit to make you think about whether you want to sort of spend that sort of money, or if you'd rather spend less and get still a very decent drone, or if you absolutely need what the Mavic 4 Pro is offering. So I want to finish this by saying that I think the Mavic 4 Pro Creator Edition is an amazing drone, and I'm still tempted. You may see my next video and I've gone and bought one just because I've seen some amazing footage from it, and it does some really good stuff. But for me, for now, I'm sticking with the M3 Pro Cine, but watch this space, we never know. But I hope this has helped. If it has, please leave your comments down below. Remember to subscribe, share the video, and give us a thumbs up. So thanks for watching. I hope it hasn't been too long, and we'll see you on the next video.